Welcome to a place where science meets action and your body's hidden power comes alive. Here, we uncover how your nervous system is the secret key to unlocking stronger immunity, faster recovery, and lasting resilience. You'll learn how mindset isn't just positive thinking, it's chemistry that shapes your defense system. How breathing techniques like cyclic, hyperventilation, and nasal breathing can reduce inflammation and supercharge healing. Why sleep positions matter more than you think, and how activating your vagus nerve through simple tools like cold exposure or even humming shifts your body into repair mode. And we don't stop there. We'll dive into targeted supplementation like spirulina and probiotics paired with nervous system training to give you lasting, science-backed tools for health. If you're ready to take control of your energy, recovery, and immunity, you're in the right place. Let's get started. The nervous system doesn't just control movement and thought, it directly influences how the immune system detects and responds to threats. When most people think about immunity, they picture white blood cells, antibodies, and perhaps the role of nutrition or supplements. Those are important, but what often gets overlooked is that the nervous system acts as the master switchboard that coordinates when, where, and how those immune responses are deployed. This means that the state of your nervous system at any given moment can either enhance or suppress the way your body defends itself against infection. If we zoom out for a moment, the nervous system and immune system evolved together. They are not two separate entities, but rather two arms of a single, integrated defense strategy. The immune system detects pathogens, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and begins deploying cells to neutralize them. The nervous system, however, determines how aggressively or conservatively that immune response unfolds. Think of it like a thermostat in your home. The furnace is capable of generating heat, but it's the thermostat that decides when the heat should be turned up or down. The nervous system is that thermostat for the immune system. One clear example of this is the role of stress. When you experience acute stress, your nervous system releases adrenaline and other catecholamines. For a short period of time, this can actually mobilize certain immune cells, essentially preparing the body for potential injury or infection. But if that stress state is prolonged, if the nervous system keeps firing the alarm signal day after day, it shifts into a suppressive mode. Inflammation rises, certain immune functions weaken, and your ability to fight off illness is compromised. So the nervous system isn't just passively along for the ride. It's setting the tone of your immune readiness. Another way this plays out is through the sensory pathways. The nervous system is constantly scanning the environment through your eyes, ears, nose, and skin, collecting information. Some of that information is about physical threats. For example, if you inhale particles that irritate your airways, the nervous system signals your immune cells to line up defenses in the respiratory tract. This is why nasal breathing is not just about oxygen exchange. It's about filtering and alerting the immune system to incoming pathogens. The nervous system detects those threats first, and the immune system responds accordingly. There's also a feedback loop between the immune system and the brain. When you get sick, you feel tired, you might withdraw from social activity. Your appetite changes. These aren't just side effects of being sick. They are specific programs initiated by your nervous system in response to immune signals. Scientists call this sickness behavior, and it is an adaptive strategy. By resting more, lowering energy expenditure, and avoiding bright light or loud environments, your body reallocates resources toward immune function. This again shows how tightly knit these two systems are. The immune system triggers the nervous system to change your behavior, and in turn, those behavioral changes support immune recovery. Now, one of the most powerful things to recognize is that we can consciously influence this system. While you can't will your white blood cells to move faster, you can regulate your nervous system in ways that improve immune performance. Breathwork, deliberate cold exposure, and even certain mindset practices directly shift the balance of the autonomic nervous system, that is, the tug-of war between the sympathetic fight or flight arm and the parasympathetic rest and repair arm. By guiding your nervous system into states that favor recovery, you're essentially telling your immune system, now is the time to heal and fortify. Consider the vagus nerve, for example. This single cranial nerve acts like a communication highway between the brain and multiple organs involved in immune function. Activating it through slow exhalations, humming, or cold exposure can dampen unnecessary inflammation and allow the immune system to focus on the true threats. That's not magic, that's physiology. You're leveraging a neural circuit to optimize how your immune system allocates its resources. What's remarkable is that this isn't about making your immune system stronger in a brute force way. It's about making it smarter, more precise, and better timed. Too much immune activity, and you get chronic inflammation or autoimmunity. Too little, and you become susceptible to infection. The nervous system helps strike that balance. So, when you train or regulate your nervous system, you are not just working on mental clarity or stress resilience, you are directly shaping how your body fights disease and recovers from it. This is the reason why practices like proper sleep, controlled breathing, and maintaining a positive but realistic mindset are so impactful. They're not abstract wellness practices, they are direct levers into the nervous system, which in turn sets the thermostat for your immune function. And when that thermostat is tuned properly, you don't just get fewer sick days, you gain the confidence that your body can respond effectively whenever it's challenged. That is the true power of understanding the nervous system's role in immunity. It places the control back in your hands. Positive expectation and stress reduction signal the body to release neurotransmitters and hormones that enhance immune function. This isn't just a nice idea or a motivational statement, it's grounded in biology. The way we think and the way we frame our internal dialogue directly shapes chemical processes that determine whether our immune system is primed to defend us or left in a weakened state. The nervous system listens closely to our mental and emotional states, and it responds by orchestrating hormone release, neurotransmitter signaling, and shifts in autonomic balance that either strengthen or diminish immunity. Let's take a simple but powerful example, anticipation. When you look forward to something, even if it's a small event, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine isn't just about motivation or reward, it interacts with immune pathways. In fact, immune cells have dopamine receptors, meaning they literally respond to this chemical signal. When dopamine levels are elevated in healthy, regulated ways, immune cells tend to mobilize more effectively. They move to where they're needed, they communicate with one another more efficiently, and they perform their pathogen, killing roles with greater precision. So optimism isn't just a mental trick to feel better, it's a way of signaling to your immune system to stay alert and responsive. On the flip side, when we experience chronic stress, the story changes dramatically. The nervous system releases cortisol in an effort to help us cope with prolonged challenges. Cortisol isn't inherently bad. In fact, in short bursts, it's essential for immune regulation. But when cortisol levels stay elevated for too long, the immune system begins to downshift. Certain white blood cells stop responding as efficiently, inflammation runs unchecked, and the body becomes less capable of fending off viruses or repairing damaged tissues. This is why people who endure constant stress often report getting sick more frequently or taking longer to recover from illness. Now, here's where the practical side comes in. If stress undermines immune function, then tools that reduce stress can serve as direct interventions to support immunity. Breathwork, for instance, is one of the fastest ways to shift the nervous system. Slow, deliberate exhalations send a signal through the vagus nerve that it's safe to relax. This engages the parasympathetic nervous system, often called the rest and repair state. In this state, levels of cortisol and adrenaline drop, while hormones like oxytocin and serotonin rise. These chemicals don't just make you feel calm, they reinforce the immune system's ability to track and eliminate pathogens without being drowned in unnecessary inflammation. Mindset practices work similarly. When people engage in gratitude exercises or even something as simple as writing down a few things they're looking forward to, they are activating neural circuits associated with reward and safety. This cascades into the release of neuromodulators that make the immune system more efficient. You might think of it as programming your nervous system to create an internal environment where immune cells operate at their peak. The best part is that this doesn't require hours of meditation or complicated rituals. Sometimes a few minutes of reframing stressors or reminding yourself of progress made in a challenging situation is enough to trigger these beneficial responses. The placebo effect provides some of the clearest evidence of this connection. When someone truly believes a treatment will help them, their nervous system releases chemicals that mimic the effects of that treatment, often leading to measurable improvements in immune function. This doesn't mean the treatment was unnecessary. It means that belief itself is a biological lever. Expectation changes physiology. The challenge is learning how to cultivate that expectation intentionally in our daily lives, rather than leaving it to chance. It's also worth noting that the opposite, negative expectation or hopelessness, can be equally powerful, but in the wrong direction. When the nervous system interprets circumstances as threatening with no possibility of relief, neurotransmitters shift in a way that suppresses immune activity. Inflammation rises, repair slows, and vulnerability increases. This is why stress combined with pessimism is such a dangerous combination for health. It's not just psychological suffering, it's a physiological compromise. What's encouraging is that tools to reverse this state are accessible to everyone. Visualization practices, breathwork, deliberate stress management, proper sleep, and maintaining strong social connections all feed into the nervous system's ability to release the right chemical messengers. Each of these, in its own way, creates a state of positive expectation. Whether it's anticipating restful sleep, enjoying connection with others, or feeling empowered through deliberate breathing, the nervous system receives the message. Conditions are safe, resources can be allocated to repair and defense, and the immune system should be engaged. So, the next time you consider stress management or mindset practices, think of them not as optional or soft tools, but as hardwired, biological levers that determine how resilient you are. By learning to generate states of calm focus, by training your nervous system to expect progress and healing, you're not only shaping your mental landscape, you're directly instructing your immune system to perform at its best. And that is the real power of expectation. Simple techniques like cyclic hyperventilation and nasal breathing reduce inflammation, clear pathogens faster, and improve immune resilience. Breathing may seem too basic, too automatic, to have any real impact on the immune system, but the science is clear. How we breathe is one of the fastest and most direct ways to influence the state of the nervous system, and in turn, the performance of the immune system. Every inhale and exhale is not just about oxygen, it's about signaling. It tells your brain whether to prepare for stress, to conserve energy, or to engage in repair. That constant feedback loop between breath, brain, and body is a lever we can use to enhance immunity in a very deliberate way. Cyclic hyperventilation is a striking example. It involves taking a series of deep, rhythmic breaths, often 30 or more, followed by a prolonged exhale and brief breath hold. During this process, oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in the body shift dramatically. The nervous system responds by releasing adrenaline and other stress-related hormones, which, interestingly, don't suppress immunity in this context, but instead mobilize immune cells. Studies have shown that people practicing this method can actually increase their resistance to infections and reduce inflammatory responses. It's almost as if you're giving your immune system a rehearsal drill. The nervous system says, "Get ready." And immune cells flood into circulation, more alert and prepared for potential threats. The beauty of this technique is that it doesn't require any equipment, supplements, or advanced training. It's just breathing. Yet the effects are measurable in blood markers, in inflammatory cytokines, and even in how quickly people recover from illness. This isn't about mystical states or vague wellness claims. It's about using a built-in mechanism of the body to create real physiological change. Now, nasal breathing is another powerful but often overlooked tool. Breathing through the nose instead of the mouth filters the air, humidifies it, and even exposes it to nitric oxide produced in the nasal passages. Nitric oxide is a molecule with antimicrobial properties, meaning it can neutralize certain pathogens before they reach deeper into the respiratory tract. It also dilates blood vessels, improving circulation and oxygen delivery to tissues, which is crucial for immune function. Inhaling through the nose is, in essence, the body's first line of defense, and yet so many people default to mouth breathing, especially under stress or while asleep. By simply training ourselves to return to nasal breathing during exercise, during rest, and especially at night, we dramatically improve the immune system's readiness. Beyond filtration and nitric oxide, nasal breathing influences the balance of the autonomic nervous system. Mouth breathing tends to be shallow and rapid, which pushes the body toward a sympathetic fight or flight state. Nasal breathing, by contrast, naturally slows the breath, deepens diaphragmatic activity, and shifts the body toward parasympathetic dominance, the rest, digest, and repair state. And that parasympathetic state is where the immune system thrives. Inflammation is better regulated, tissue repair accelerates, and resources are freed up for immune defense rather than being tied up in stress responses. When you combine these two practices, the deliberate stressor of cyclic hyperventilation and the calming, regulating effect of nasal breathing, you create a flexible nervous system. That flexibility is key. A nervous system that can ramp up quickly when it needs to mobilize and then calm down just as quickly when it needs to recover, is the same nervous system that directs the immune system to be both vigilant and balanced. Too much activity, and you get chronic inflammation. Too little, and you get vulnerability to infections. Breathing practices help strike that balance. There's also a behavioral component here. When you practice breathing deliberately, you're training awareness of your internal state. That awareness itself reduces unnecessary stress and creates a sense of agency. Instead of feeling like illness or fatigue just happens to you, you gain a tool you can apply in real time. Feeling the early signs of a cold or flu. A few rounds of cyclic hyperventilation can increase immune cell mobilization. Feeling stressed and run down, switching to nasal breathing and extending your exhale can lower inflammation and shift you back into recovery. These practices can be integrated seamlessly into daily life. It might mean setting aside 10 minutes in the morning for a round of cyclic hyperventilation. It might mean taping the mouth at night to encourage nasal breathing during sleep. It might mean catching yourself during the day, noticing that you're breathing shallowly through your mouth, and consciously returning to slower nasal breaths. None of these require radical changes in lifestyle, but together, they create a powerful influence on how resilient your immune system is day to day. Breathing, then, is not just an automatic background function. It's a dial you can turn moment to moment to instruct your nervous system how to behave, and when the nervous system gets the right instruction, the immune system follows. Which is why, with something as simple as breath, you can directly strengthen your body's ability to resist, recover, and thrive. Quality sleep, especially with optimized positions like elevating the feet or side, sleeping, boosts lymphatic clearance and strengthens immune defense. Sleep is often thought of as passive, something the body does when the brain shuts down, but in reality, it is one of the most active states for recovery and immune function. When we sleep, the brain and body shift into specialized modes of operation that simply cannot happen during wakefulness. One of the most important of these modes is the clearance of waste products from the brain and circulation of immune-supportive fluids throughout the body. The brain has what is called the glymphatic system. It's a network that becomes highly active during sleep and is responsible for washing out metabolic byproducts, toxins, and inflammatory molecules that build up while we're awake. If those byproducts linger, they can impair immune function, slow down cognitive processing, and even increase the risk of illness. Deep sleep stages, especially slow wave sleep, are when this glymphatic clearance is most efficient. That means if sleep is cut short or disrupted, the brain isn't just tired, it is also carrying an unnecessary inflammatory burden that makes the entire immune system less efficient. What's fascinating is how body position can actually enhance or impair this process. Research has shown that sleeping, particularly on the left side, can improve glymphatic clearance compared to lying flat on the back. Elevating the feet slightly or positioning the body so fluid doesn't pool further enhances circulation of lymph and other immune-supportive fluids. This matters because lymphatic circulation is one of the main highways the immune system uses to transport cells and signals. Unlike blood, which has the heart as a pump, lymph relies on body movement and positioning to flow. So, by simply adjusting sleep posture, you can directly influence how effectively your immune system clears out waste and deploys its defenses. Quality sleep is also the time when the nervous system shifts into its most restorative parasympathetic state. During the day, we accumulate small amounts of stress and inflammation simply from moving through life, from working, from interacting, from being exposed to microbes. At night, provided sleep is deep and continuous, the body recalibrates. Cortisol levels drop, growth hormone rises, and repair mechanisms engage. Immune cells circulate, detect potential invaders, and repair tissues. If sleep is consistently fragmented or insufficient, the nervous system remains in a low-level stress state, which suppresses these immune benefits. It's also worth noting how sleep interacts with other immune-supportive practices. For example, techniques like breathwork or mindset regulation during the day prepare the nervous system to enter deeper, more restorative sleep at night. Likewise, good sleep amplifies the effects of those practices by consolidating neural and immune adaptations. It's a reinforcing cycle. Regulate the nervous system, sleep better, regulate the nervous system more effectively. And the immune system is the primary beneficiary of that loop. When people sacrifice sleep, they often notice immediate changes in their resilience. A single night of poor sleep can elevate inflammatory markers, reduce natural killer cell activity, and impair the body's ability to mount an effective immune response. Over time, this compounds, leaving the body more vulnerable to infections, slower to heal from injury, and more prone to chronic inflammatory conditions. The reverse is also true. Prioritizing high-quality sleep, even without changing diet or exercise, measurably strengthens immunity within just a few nights. The practical tools here are straightforward but powerful. Keeping the room cool, dark, and quiet promotes deeper sleep. Avoiding late caffeine or light exposure helps align circadian rhythms. But posture and position are the hidden levers most people overlook. Training yourself to side sleep, experimenting with slight elevation of the feet or upper body, and using pillows to maintain alignment can dramatically improve the efficiency of sleep-driven immune processes. These are small adjustments that yield outsized benefits for resilience. Another critical factor is consistency. The nervous system and immune system both thrive on regularity. Going to sleep and waking up at roughly the same time each day allows the body to anticipate and prepare for deep sleep phases, maximizing glymphatic activity and immune repair. Inconsistent sleep schedules, even if total hours are the same, reduce these benefits. It's not just about quantity, but about rhythm and quality. So when we talk about immunity, we often look to supplements, diets, or external interventions. but sleep remains the most fundamental, accessible, and impactful tool we have. It requires no purchase, no special training, just deliberate attention and small adjustments in behavior, and yet its effects ripple across every system in the body. By giving sleep the priority it deserves, and by fine-tuning the way we position the body during those hours, we are not just resting, we are actively strengthening one of the most sophisticated defense systems nature has ever designed. And that is why sleep is the most powerful medicine the body already knows how to make. Activating the vagus nerve through breath, cold exposure, or even humming shifts the body into a healing, anti-inflammatory state. The vagus nerve is like a communication superhighway carrying signals between the brain and nearly every major organ. It influences heart rate, digestion, respiration, and importantly, the immune system. When it's activated in the right way, the body enters a mode that prioritizes repair and defense rather than stress and depletion. This shift is crucial because inflammation, while useful in small amounts, becomes harmful when it lingers. Chronic inflammation is the soil in which illness grows, and the vagus nerve is one of the most direct ways to regulate it. Breathing techniques are one of the simplest and most powerful tools here. Long, deliberate exhalations stimulate vagal activity. When you extend your out-breath, you slow the heart rate slightly, reduce adrenaline release, and signal to the brain that the environment is safe. That sense of safety isn't just psychological, it's chemical. Immune cells sense it too. In this state, inflammatory cytokines drop, tissue repair accelerates, and the immune system can better distinguish between real threats and background noise. People often underestimate how much something as basic as breath can change physiology, but the vagus nerve is wired directly into the diaphragm, so each inhale and exhale is essentially a message being sent to the nervous system about whether to fight or to heal. Cold exposure is another gateway. When you immerse yourself in cold water or even splash cold water on the face, receptors in the skin send powerful signals through the vagus nerve. Initially, there's a spike in alertness, but as you adapt, there's a rebound effect, a calming shift that brings the body into balance. Studies have shown that even brief cold exposure reduces systemic inflammation and improves resilience. The mechanism isn't mystical. It's a recalibration of the autonomic nervous system, with the vagus nerve acting as the mediator. For the immune system, this means better coordination. Instead of overreacting with runaway inflammation, it responds more strategically, conserving resources while still remaining vigilant. Even something as unassuming as humming has a measurable effect. When you hum, the vibration resonates in the throat and chest, stimulating branches of the vagus nerve. This is why practices like chanting or certain forms of singing are linked to calmness and improved well-being. The vibrations don't just feel soothing, they are physiologically tuning the nervous system toward parasympathetic dominance. In this state, immune defenses are not weakened, they're sharpened. The body isn't wasting energy on unnecessary inflammation, and resources are directed toward true threats and repair processes. It's remarkable that a behavior as ancient and simple as making sound with the voice can directly influence immune health. The broader principle here is that the vagus nerve serves as the bridge between mindset, behavior, and immunity. It takes cues from the outside world through breath, temperature, vibration, and translates them into instructions for the immune system. When those cues are regulated deliberately, the immune system is more precise, less wasteful, and more effective. This is the opposite of what happens under chronic stress. Stress silences vagal tone, pushes the body into constant sympathetic drive, and floods tissues with inflammatory signals. That's a state where healing is impaired and illness becomes more likely. By re-engaging the vagus nerve, we flip that script, telling the body it's safe enough to allocate energy toward recovery and defense. These practices also create resilience. Life will always present stressors, deadlines, illness, uncertainty. What determines how well we adapt is not whether we can avoid stress altogether, but whether we can move flexibly between stress and recovery states. The vagus nerve is the lever that allows this flexibility. When we practice slow breathing, cold immersion, or vocal vibration, we're training our nervous system to downshift more quickly after a challenge. That downshift is exactly what the immune system needs to function optimally. The accessibility of these tools makes them even more powerful. You don't need advanced equipment or long hours to benefit. Just a few minutes of slow, deliberate breathing, a brief cold shower, or a daily humming practice can recalibrate the system. Over time, the nervous system becomes more responsive, and the immune system becomes more balanced. This is the kind of adaptation that compounds the more often you engage the vagus nerve. The more efficient your body becomes at controlling inflammation and directing energy toward healing. When we step back and look at it, it's almost poetic. Breath, temperature, sound, all fundamental elements of human experience are also the very tools we can use to tune the immune system. The body is built to respond to these cues, and when we apply them with intention, we're not forcing change, but reminding the system of how it's designed to operate. By activating the vagus nerve, we align the nervous system and immune system into a state where healing isn't just possible, it's prioritized. And that is how something as simple as activating a single nerve can profoundly change the way your body defends and restores itself. Combining mindset practices, targeted supplementation, and nervous system training can create lasting, resilient immunity. Each of these components works on its own, but when they're layered together, the effects are amplified, creating a system that is adaptable, durable, and less vulnerable to both acute infections and long-term inflammation. The nervous system is the unifying thread that connects them. Mindset shapes how the nervous system interprets stress and safety. Supplementation provides the raw materials the immune system needs to function, and nervous system training teaches the body how to shift between stress and recovery states with precision. When all three are aligned, immunity isn't just stronger in the short term, it becomes sustainable. Mindset plays a foundational role because the way we think and perceive challenges is directly tied to the way the nervous system behaves. When the mind fixates on stress, uncertainty, or hopelessness, the nervous system signals the body to stay in survival mode. That means elevated cortisol, suppressed immunity, and heightened inflammation. But when the mind adopts a framework of positive expectation, not blind optimism, but a grounded belief that the body is capable of adapting and recovering, the nervous system releases neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin that support immune readiness. This is why practices such as gratitude journaling, visualization, or reframing stressors are not just psychological exercises. They send tangible signals through neural pathways that reduce unnecessary inflammation and enhance immune coordination. A resilient mind teaches the nervous system to perceive challenges as opportunities for adaptation rather than threats to survival, and that shift is mirrored in immune function. Supplementation then acts as a supporting pillar. While mindset and nervous system regulation set the stage, the immune system still requires nutrients to carry out its work. Spirulina, for example, contains compounds that directly modulate immune signaling, reducing unnecessary inflammation while enhancing the activity of natural killer cells and antibodies. Probiotics, on the other hand, fortify the gut microbiome, which is one of the most influential regulators of immunity. Nearly 70% of immune cells reside in and around the gut. By cultivating a diverse, balanced microbiome, probiotics help train the immune system to distinguish friend from foe, reducing allergic or autoimmune responses while staying alert to pathogens. These supplements don't replace the body's natural defenses, but act more like reinforcements, ensuring that immune cells have the resources and signals they need to function optimally. What's important is that supplementation is targeted, not scattered. The nervous system and immune system don't benefit from a random overload of vitamins or herbs. Instead, the best approach is identifying compounds with clear evidence-backed effects on immunity and incorporating them consistently. This builds a reliable foundation so that when stress or pathogens challenge the body, it isn't caught in a depleted state. Supplementation, then, is about precision support, giving the immune system exactly what it needs when it needs it. Nervous system training ties these elements together. Breathwork, cold exposure, and deliberate recovery practices are ways of teaching the body to shift rapidly between sympathetic and parasympathetic states. Stress is unavoidable, but what matters is the speed and efficiency with which the nervous system transitions back into recovery. When trained properly, the nervous system becomes more flexible, meaning the immune system doesn't remain locked in chronic inflammation after a stressful event. Instead, it deploys immune defenses when needed and then withdraws them when the threat has passed, conserving energy and reducing collateral damage to tissues. This is the essence of resilience, not a rigid system that resists stress until it breaks, but a flexible one that bends, recovers, and adapts. When mindset, supplementation, and nervous system training are combined, the effects are synergistic. A positive, grounded mindset primes the nervous system for recovery. Supplements provide the immune system with the tools to execute its work effectively. Nervous system training ensures that responses are appropriately timed and balanced. Together, these create an immune environment that is both strong and intelligent. It's not just about preventing illness, it's about creating a state where the body can heal faster, adapt better, and maintain long-term vitality. What's powerful about this approach is that it's sustainable. You don't need extreme interventions or constant reliance on external treatments. By practicing mindset tools daily, supporting the microbiome and immune system with targeted nutrients, and engaging in nervous system training, you're reinforcing the body's natural capacity for defense. Over time, this doesn't just reduce the frequency of illness, it builds a baseline of resilience that carries into every aspect of life, from physical performance to mental clarity. And that is how combining these simple but powerful practices creates immunity that is not only strong today but resilient for the long run. If this episode gave you a deeper look at how your nervous system shapes immunity, imagine what's ahead. Every video here is designed to give you practical, science-based tools you can apply immediately, whether it's shifting your mindset, improving your breathing, upgrading your sleep, activating the vagus nerve, or using simple supplements to reinforce your defenses. Don't just use these tools and experience the difference. If you found value today, hit that like button so more people can discover these strategies, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Stay consistent, stay resilient. Your best health starts here.